Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Crash and Ride podcast. I'm Patrick Ferguson. I'm your host. Today's guest is Mike Dickinson, head of the Austin-based label Chicken Ranch Records. Chicken Ranch has been around since the 90s. They've got 5/8, a Band I'm In, and a whole bunch of other great bands, Flat Duo Jets, Mr. Lewis and the Funeral 5, P-Lander Z, The Idols, just a bunch of great bands. They've been around doing great work for a long time. If you're unfamiliar with the Crash and Ride podcast, Crash and Ride is a long-form interview podcast where I interview musicians who've survived anxiety, depression, addiction, and abuse. Mike is kind of an exception. He's not so much a working musician anymore, but as someone who runs a label, he's had some very personal relationships with musicians through the years. He traveled to India with 5/8 a few years ago when we played an amazing festival there, and that's when we really got to know each other. And I really felt like he'd be someone we could talk to and kind of get a little perspective on what it's like to run a label in an age when people don't really buy recorded music so much anymore. I have some kind of unfortunate news. If you're familiar with me and the podcast at all, you know that I play with this high-energy rock band from Tokyo called Pinky Doodle Poodle. We've been touring the country for the better part of the last 8 months, and I've had a really great time. The last few months, we've been trying to get their application completed and submitted to extend their stay by at least 1 year in the country, and we just missed the deadline. It costs a lot of money. We were trying to raise about $3,500 just to renew for 1 year, and we didn't make it. Also, there's just a lot of bureaucratic, like, you got to submit this huge packet of paperwork and stuff, and we didn't. I'm a drummer, and a guy runs a podcast, so this was all new to me. And anyway, what we're doing now is we're going to try to shoot for a whole 3-year renewal of their work visa here, and that's going to cost about, it's really, honest to God, going to cost like $10,000. It's crazy. So there'll be a GoFundMe. Please keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, if you see them, give them a hug, tell them you're going to miss them, and we'll try to get them back before the first of the year. We have 3 more shows in this country before they have to leave. August 2nd, Pinky Doodle Poodle is playing the rooftop of the Georgia Theater. August 3rd, they're playing the 8th State Brewery in Greenville, South Carolina. August 4th, they're playing Enzo's in Tucker, Georgia, and that's it. They fly back to Tokyo on August 6th, and I am super, super bummed. I want to thank everybody for their support of Pinky Doodle Poodle and thank everybody for their support of the podcast. It's been a really great summer. It's only going to get better from here. Have a couple of quick announcements. Crash and Ride is brought to you in part by Greer Amplification. Greer Amps builds the best boutique effects pedals available. If you're looking for an overdrive, boost, fuzz, compressor, or tremolo that is rugged, road-tested, and at home on stage, in the studio, or in your living room, Greer has a pedal for you. Nick and his staff strive to build the best products around with the best tone you've ever heard. They believe in their products, and they stand behind them too, backing each one up with a lifetime warranty to the original owner. Each Greer Amps product is hand-built in Athens, Georgia, USA. Go to www.greeramps.com or visit your favorite music retailer today. Crash and Ride is also brought to you in part by Jittery Joe's local coffee roaster in Athens, Georgia. They've created an espresso blend that's named after the podcast, and it looks like we're in the process of planning a sort of kickoff event to announce that Crash and Ride is going to become one of Jittery Joe's 3 main espressos. We're going to do a live thing at Hendershots in Athens, Georgia. Don't know who the guest is yet. It's going to have to be somebody with a real lack of fear, because, man, opening your heart in front of a whole room full of people can be tough, so it's going to have to be somebody pretty special. I'm really looking forward to it, though, and I hope you'll join us there. In the meantime, you can get Crash and Ride Espresso from Jittery Joe's at their web store. Locally, it'll be available in the Jittery Joe's stores, or you can get it from our web store, which I'm building right now and is nearly done. Also, I want to make sure that all of my listeners know that if you're struggling with dark thoughts, if you're having a tough time getting by, if you're contemplating self-harm, you can always call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. It's 24/7. It's confidential. It's free. It's staffed by trained volunteers. 1-800-273-8255. Also, if you're a trans person who's experiencing depression, anxiety, dysphoria, if you need someone to talk to who's a peer, you can call the Trans Lifeline Peer Support Line, 1-877-565-8860. That's 1-877-565-8860. So currently, I'm at the beach with my family. I'm using my little SM58 into my recording rig that I drag everywhere just in case it's time to do an interview. And had a really nice, relaxing week here at Carolina Beach, which is where I used to come when I was a little kid. My grandma worked in a textile factory, and my grandfather was a rural postman, and every summer we do about a week and a half up here, and it's been wild coming back here and here so many years later and just seeing the beach and the boardwalk and it's been a little melancholy. I want to contextualize this interview for everybody just a little bit and give you an idea. I also did the interview with Mike that we're about to listen to on my portable rig. I'm about to upgrade some things, but man, I can't wait to ditch these old kind of crappy microphones. I've got some beat up old SM58s and a EV version of the same that they've got 100 million miles on them at this point, and that's why you hear some kind of variable audio quality in the interviews and in the intro and stuff. But we set up in Chicken Ranch Records offices in Austin, Texas, which is essentially an air-conditioned storage unit with Wi-Fi, and it was jam-packed. I've never been in a room with so many vinyl records and CDs stacked so haphazardly in one place. But, I mean, it's what it takes to run a label, and Mike was really gracious and just let me kind of post up in there and set my mics up on some stands, and we did about an hour and a half, and it was really good. I've edited a little bit down because he and I are both talkers, and we got a little distracted a couple times, but I think that the best part is here, and you kind of get an idea of the responsibility and the thinking involved in running a label, and how it's affected him to work with so many great people, and I think it's a really good interview. Anyway, all that said, here's our interview with Mike Dickinson from Chicken Ranch Records. Here with Mike Dickinson, head of Chicken Ranch Records, a musician in his own right, music collector, art connoisseur, resident of Austin, Texas. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, thank you for having me here.
It's really great to have you here. Mike is the head of Chicken Ranch Records, which happens to be the label that my band 5/8 is signed to.
Yeah, glad to have you aboard. It's been fun.
How many other bands are on Chicken Ranch?
It's a lot. I mean, a lot of bands that are in different stages of breaking up or getting back together, and it's probably anywhere between like 6 and 10 artists at one time that are active, and then we are some degree of activity, and then we've put out probably over 100 things now in the past couple of decades.
So and the whole catalog is still pretty much active?
Yeah, everything's pretty much available with the exception of a couple of things. But yeah, I mean, with the exception of like 2 or 3 titles, everything's pretty much in print still or available out there.
We're in the actual offices of Chicken Ranch here in Austin. I'm surrounded by boxes of vinyl records and CDs, and looks like a bunch of magazines and posters. This is quite the archive of Austin music history in here. Yeah,
it's just a bunch of a few things. I just kind of a catch-all sometimes, and then trying to get my office organized, which it's in the midst of being reorganized, I guess, as we do as we speak. I didn't want to have everything in my house taking over the house.
Right. This is a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've done this for so long, and I've got it's just right down the street from my house, so it's easy to get here, and if I need some time away, I can get in here and kind of concentrate and do some work and fill some orders and everything. And it's been a good little place to go out to, and there's a dog park next door, and it's pretty awesome.
So roughly 100 titles. How many things do you release a year?
It's probably about maybe between 6 and 8 or 9. It just depends. It could be digital. Do a lot of digital nowadays, and then done probably 2 or 3 vinyl releases this year.
Yeah. Including a 5/8 record.
Yeah, 5/8 record, yeah. Did a 5/8 last year.
It's been flawless. It's been so great. Thank you so much.
Oh, man, that was a great record. I mean, both those albums. I mean, doing Weirdo, being able to re-release that was a big, it's a big project for me. I've always wanted to do that, and it never was out on vinyl. And then, the CD, I remember that came out, it was really kind of just thrown out there, it seemed like, by the label at the time. And,
there was a lot of... If you're curious about the story of the band 5/8 and the record Weirdo, I would encourage you to look on YouTube for Weirdo Remastered. Or what is Weirdo?
So Weirdo, the documentary or something, or Weirdo.
It's like a 17-minute film that lays it all out there, and it's done by a guy named Mark Polvinsky, who's really brilliant from Atlanta. And check that out. You'll understand so much more about the 90s, I think, after watching it.
There's a link on the website, too, which is...
on the Chicken Ranch website?
Chicken Ranch site, yeah. And we actually took one of the videos that you guys did in the 90s and we just put the new vocals over the old vocals. I thought was pretty fun.
Oh, the karaoke video.
Yeah, that was a great video.
Yeah. Well, that was shot by a guy named Norwood Cheek from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He went on to make one of my favorite commercials of all time, which is there was a Volkswagen commercial he did where two mechanics are standing behind a Jetta and they open the trunk and there's a full-size spare in there, and one of them says, "A full-size spare? It's like a coelacanth." And the other fella says, "A what? A coelacanth. It was a fish that was previously thought to be extinct." And it turned out. So, because a full-size spare is never in a car anymore. It's just a great commercial. If you can find it and see it, it's hilarious and wonderful.
He did those Squirrel Nut Zipper videos too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, those are great.
Norwood was a great video director. I'll have to find out what he's doing now and post something in the show notes.
I like the Lance Bangs video that they did for you guys.
I mean, Lance's career speaks for itself. I mean, I could sit here and sing Lance's praises for an hour without stopping. I mean, he went from being this young kid who moved to Athens to go to film school, and he's gone on to be a cameraman for Jackass, and he's made a 100 amazing rock videos for a ton of bands, and he's had quite a career.
Yeah, he does really good stuff. It's been really cool to work with people kind of even peripherally that I didn't realize I'd be able to work with in my career. Because I mean, we've had Steve Albini do a record for us, and we've had
what record was that?
I was a band called Bert, and one of the first things non HSO things I put out.
Mm-hmm.
And he had done a 6-song EP for him, and then did the next full length, and it's right after like Nirvana and all those things,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a beast of a record, and I got to work with him and Spot from Black Flag. Did
Spot
Jesus Christ Superfly record,
mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's cool to get like Lance Bangs, I know that guy from there's different things. It's cool to actually be able to kind of chat with him and get this video together.
Lance is a super approachable guy.
Yeah, it's great.
Really easy to get along with. I really enjoy working with him.
Yeah, it's good to get to know people from kind of the back office of the music business instead of having to meet them as a fan, and it kind of it's a weird that with a lot of famous people too. You meet them kind of like casually. It's a lot nicer than having like I like your music or like your films, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, it's I guess we all kind of fanboy out occasionally. So.
Well, I don't think that anybody, I mean, certainly nobody that I'm close to gets into it for the purposes of being or having for adulation. Like I didn't start playing drums so that people would walk up to me in clubs and say, "I love your drumming." I mean, it makes my heart sing when it happens, but the thing that I hope for as a player is for people to, let's work together, let's make a record together, let's play music together, because to me it's about playing music and it's not about being put on a pedestal. And so I think the reason it's easier to approach people who are successful as a partner as opposed to as a fan is because that just feels more natural to a person who's not a weirdo.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's a fun thing, being able to collaborate on projects, and
mm-hmm.
It's been a good, it's really given me a lot of, made me really happy to be able to do that recently. And
how long has there been at Chicken Ranch Records?
Since the 90s. It started as a big inside joke and basically a placeholder for we needed to name we had a cassette out, our band did, and it's a great inside joke, Chicken Ranch Records. We had this party house called the Chicken Ranch we lived in, and
where was that?
In Ruston, Louisiana.
You went to college there?
I went to Louisiana Tech. Yeah, got a marketing degree, and I grew up in Minden, about 35 miles away.
Bunch of people left Ruston to come to Athens, right?
Yeah, dude, Jeff Mangum and Will Hart and Robert Schneider, John Fernandez, Scott Spillane, all those guys. Just the whole
Elephant Six Collective.
Oh yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, I knew those. They were kids. I'm a couple of years older than them, and Will was like 17, 16 at the radio station. They gave him a show. Anybody could have a show, pretty much walk off the street and go through the training and everything. And he was like a 16-year-old kid, and had Big Robert Smith there, and did some shows, and everyone just loved him and Bill and Will and everything, and Jeff, and kind of ended up going to college there, and they had their own shows and everything. And
did they have bands in Ruston?
They did. Yeah, it was like basically the kind of the Embryonic Neutral Milk Hotel and Olivia Tremor Control and all those bands like that. And Robert Schneider was always doing stuff too. And I had a comic book store for like a year and a half, and they would. I didn't realize it was a stolen PA that my friend had, but he stashed his PA in my store, and so they would come practice occasionally there.
Were you a comics guy when you were younger?
Yeah, since I was like, I learned how to read comic books.
What are your favorites?
I like all the DC stuff. I like just kind of the classic, 70s
Superman,
Jack Kirby kind of stuff, and Superman. All the the Jack Kirby, the Nick Fury Shield from the 70s. Was it I don't know my master's name, Starenenko, or he did the great art for is it Strange Tales maybe, and the Nick Fury comics. I love the art for that. And then
I came to comics kind of late. I was really into a lot of that like mid-90s dystopian stuff like Ted McKeever and Bill Sienkiewicz and
he's great.
Frank Miller stuff I was really into. And then I dated a girl who was really into the Dark Horse comic stuff like Sandman and all that.
I have to give you some trading cards that Sienkiewicz did.
Is it Sienkiewicz? It might be Sienkiewicz.
I've heard it, just tomato, I guess. But
I don't know the dude personally, so
he did like some.
Follow him on Twitter though. He's on Twitter.
Yeah, that's cool. He did some Friendly Dictator cards back in the 90s.
I remember those. Yeah. You have a set of those?
I've got 2 sets of them. I'll get you one.
Oh, you're gonna have one at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. I got I think they're here actually. Let me dig around for them because I like having stuff, but it's great to like pass along stuff to friends who really dig that.
Man, I'm going to rabbit hole this conversation for a minute. I'm going to apologize in advance for it. But last night, Pinky Doodle Poodle played at the Empire Control Room here in Austin, and the sound man put on this like Pandora playlist that started with a Dead Kennedy song, and then just through the night was playing a bunch of like late 80s, early 90s punk stuff, including about every 5th song was a Dead Kennedy song. And I was sort of struck, like, number one, how much East Bay Ray's guitar playing holds up, but also, number two, how just dead on some of the political commentary of the Dead Kennedys was at the time.
Oh, yeah. It's, I still go back to it. And it's a great catalog of stuff to listen to. Some of it's, hasn't aged well, but most of it has kind of, just... Like songs like Winnebago Warrior is pretty awesome. And,
right. It's kind of it's kind of dry and witty and funny, but there's some songs about U.S. involvement in Central America and stuff that I thought we'd kind of grown out of, and yet here we are. Like we're just a few months now after having watched the current Secretary of State try to drum up an invasion of Venezuela that didn't work out, but like it was like, oh man, it's like a 90s flashback.
That guy wants to kill somebody. I don't know what the deal is with him, but it's crazy. I mean, you talk about like the political commentary. We did that last Yuppie Pricks record that Biafra had Biafra released their Yuppie Pricks record a while back, and then they did a couple with me, and then the last one they did was the commentary and barbs was so sharp. It's very similar to Dead Kennedy's music, and
cool.
I like the whole.
What's the record called?
It's called Appetite for Consumption. Okay. It's like the Guns N' Roses parody thing on the cover.
Right.
And, it's really, some of those songs are pretty. So they were so, tongue in cheek, and it was reverse psychology punk rock thing. And
right.
It got too weird. The whole political climate got too weird, where they're like, we're not really even the weirdest thing out there, and so they haven't played since really.
Well, we're definitely living in an age where it's hard to come by good parody because it's just constantly being outstripped by the reality of the situation.
Oh, I know. It's really it's strange and
absurd times.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Minden, Louisiana, outside of it's between Shreveport and Ruston in North Louisiana. And I was like I call myself the unplanned pregnancy of the family. I was like the 5th of 5 kids, and my siblings were much older than I am, like 13 to 20 years.
Wow.
So I have a 70-year-old sister. I'm sure she'll appreciate that. Listening to it down, but she 70 in their late 60s, early 70s and stuff. Wow. And I'm 51, so it. But yeah, it's the only life I know. I know it wasn't a conventional life growing up with much older siblings and
significantly older parents, of course.
Oh yeah, and then nieces and nephews who were, more close to your age than your siblings were. And then My dad was in World War II, and my grandfather's in World War I. So I got a lot of knowledge about things passed down just by being,
What did your dad do in World War II?
He was Army, AmeriCal division. He was an amphibious landing part of the Army. Basically, it was almost like the Marines, but
right.
But he would go kind of, he went to the Philippines, Indonesia, New Guinea, and everything. Got 3 Purple Hearts and stuff.
Wow.
I got it's pretty, and stuff he wouldn't talk about a whole lot.
Was he island hopping in the Pacific?
Yeah, he was, absolutely.
And that was brutal work.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, and
it scarred a lot of men for life. It killed a lot of men.
Oh man, yeah, he he was. It was tough, I think, on him, and he didn't really talk about it a lot. And
my grandpa never talked about it. He hit the beach at Normandy.
Oh man!
And as far as I'm aware, marched all the way to Berlin, and never spoke a word about it until one day he opened up about it to my wife, just out of nowhere, and basically at the end of it was like, war is a terrible thing that men do to each other. We should never do it again.
Yeah, it's kind of my dad's take on it. He really wasn't a big FDR fan because he was convinced that he knew that Pearl Harbor was going to come, and then he wasn't a MacArthur fan either because I think he saw some of the bad decisions that happened. Even though we won the war, I'm sure there were some things that probably rankled him a bit from just having to be a grunt on the ground and everything.
Was he an NCO? Or?
He was he became was it what's the highest you can go? Is it first sergeant?
Master sergeant.
He was a sergeant. Like
I said that with full confidence, but I'm not positive. I think it's master sergeant.
He was like a first sergeant or something. It wasn't a master, but it was he was only for like 4 years and
senior NCO then.
Yeah, he went AWOL for like a month and got a stripe taken away because he didn't want to be an officer because he had asked to be an OCS, and
right.
He took a trip to Australia for a month. And
oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing he did talk about was Australia. He loved it there. He wanted to be a farmer in Australia.
Yeah.
And he would tell me that you'd go across the country and all the gauges of track in each province were different. So they'd get to an edge of a province, and then they'd load one train to another train and keep going. And
wow.
So it was just great. It was great. He loved it there. And he went out for a month, came back, and they took a stripe away, then gave it right back to him about 3 weeks later when got more island hopping and everything.
Yeah. Oh, that was in the middle of the war then.
Yeah, he was there like the beginning. I think he was in the National Guard and got called up immediately.
Wow.
I think he said when he got to Hawaii, things were still smoldering from Pearl Harbor. That's how.
Shit.
And he was. But yeah, he was on a boat for like a long time too, getting down to the Pacific, and wasn't a big fan of boats after that. So, or like ships and stuff.
I had an Uncle Kenny who was on a battleship that got shot out from under him, if I'm not mistaken. I may be scrambling a bunch of family lore up, but I think Uncle Kenny's boat went down, was pulled out of the water, and it was not great.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. It's the scale of that war is pretty incredible. I forget the movie that's coming out now.
Midway.
Yeah, it looks amazing, doesn't it?
I don't know, man. I'm a little burnt right now on violence. It's a strange thing happened to me when I had a kid, and then a few weeks later, I was watching the news, and there was some father running through the streets of Baghdad or Kabul or something. I can't remember where now, with his daughter's lifeless body in his arms, and I watched that, and I thought, the difference between that man and his daughter and me and my daughter is I'm lucky enough to be on the other side of the bombs. But
yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I have a tremendous empathy for. I had this moment where I was just like that man's life is effectively over.
Oh
because
yeah,
nothing that he did.
Oh, it's devastating, and I mean to put it mildly. And then see in the picture of the immigrant. Was it father and son or father and daughter that were floating in the water over there? At the
Rio Grande.
That breaks my heart, and that shouldn't be happening here. That
makes me crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and we I think we deal with a lot of that. Texas, I think we see a lot more, and it kind of affects us a lot more in Texas just because all the, we have a big, immigrant population here, and it's they shouldn't be, they should be helping these people, everyone out, and not making things more.
Yeah. So your dad came home from World War II and immediately started having kids.
Pretty much. He played baseball for a little bit. He played a little bit.
No kidding.
He went back to college. I think somewhere it's all pretty muddy, but like between like end of the war and then my sister being born, he played a little bit of baseball. I went to college, played a little bit of college football too.
What position did your dad play in baseball?
He was punter and tackle. So,
and that was football. What about baseball?
Baseball, is a pitcher and is maybe outfielder, but pitcher mostly. Yeah, my dad had this like record. He said he held for most batters hit while still pitching a shutout.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he hit 9 batters in one game.
That's amazing.
And the story goes that he hit the superstar of the team, just laid that guy out for some reason. I don't know if he probably had some kind of bet going with somebody on this team that could do that. And and then the crowd, and his opposing team was a away game, so the whole crowd like jumped the fence and tried to kick the shit out of him, and so he had to run away for a bit.
It's just minor league ball.
Minor league ball, yes. And it's like Jerry Springer, pretty much mixed with baseball back then. So it's
Right.
A and AA ball, and they'd stage fights and stuff too. They'd bring like the fake blood and everything.
Oh my God!
And they collude with the other team and start a fight and have like a fake fight. And
sell some tickets.
I did. Oh yeah, that's
little heel turn kind of.
Oh yeah, it's like
kayfabe,
wrestling and
Yeah.
wrestling and baseball together. I think probably a lot of athletes have kind of their eyes on the prize, and all right, well, I'll deal with this, and
Right.
but I know this is where I want to be. My ultimate goal is to be a pro player or a college player, and you can, I think just it's all with dealing with people and stuff too, and I think it's if you're not, it's like music too. I mean, I've noticed in music a lot of people who are really, a lot of people are outgoing and kind of are able to be good persons.
Right.
They're able to kind of
roll with it.
Kind of go
Right.
roll with the obvious drama and insanity of the music business too.
I think that's part of what affected 5/8 so profoundly. There were a lot of bands that we were peers with who went on to be very commercially successful. And, 5/8 always struggled to make a dent. But I think a big part of that is that, we weren't really well-adjusted people.
Well, you guys were fine. I mean, I knew you guys on the, we played a bunch of shows together. And
Yeah,
I think
but you weren't an authority.
Oh, yeah.
Our problem was with authority of any kind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you connected with the audiences really well. And that's kind of where it counts.
Right.
I mean, really, I think, if you were a new band now, it'd be a lot different, much different story. But
Yeah.
I think you had a cult following, and then I think that a lot of record people who are, in the quote unquote record business, don't really look at the situation, analyze the situation. I think we can make the widgets out of this band and
Right.
make them do their this thing we want them to do, as opposed to letting a band like 5/8 be 5/8.
Yeah. I mean, Lisa Robinson, who was the person who was the A&R person for Walter Yetnikoff's label that eventually signed us, came to one of our shows with another A&R person from a different label because they were all sort of competing in a friendly way. And that person said, I don't like this band. What do you not like about them? Well, there's something I just don't like about them. So, well, were there a bunch of people? There's a show sold out. Did the people, this was Lisa relating this conversation to me later, and she was like, and did the people who were there at the show seem to have a good time? Yeah, they did. Did they know every word to every song? Yes, they did. Then what is it you don't like about them? She says, I don't know. But I know what it was. It was the fact that we were ungovernable human beings,
I understand that. That's Lisa Robinson of like the USA Network TV shows and stuff, or
She was... Lisa Robinson was at Columbia Records, which eventually, of course, became CBS and Sony. She was Walter Yetnikoff's... Her and her husband... his last name was Robinson too, and it's gone right out of my head. But they were sort of the funnel. Like they would send Walter Yetnikoff of Hitman fame and the man who signed Bruce Springsteen and Michael Jackson and Elvis Costello and the Clash. Like I don't know if it's the same Lisa Robinson from USA Network, but
she did the Radio 1990 show back in the 80s, and then she did.
Sounds right.
I think she discovered or she was one of the people who went to one of the first Ramones shows. And then,
yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. That's definitely her.
Okay. Yeah. Seymour Stein thing. Yeah. So yeah. That's her. Yeah. I read about her. Yeah.
Big 5/8 fan.
That's great. Yeah.
Is the one who steered Walter Yetnikoff to us and got us signed to Walter's comeback label that ultimately proved to be commercially unsuccessful, but that was a whirlwind. But this isn't my interview.
It's a great record, though. And I mean, we have kind of tied careers still a bit too. So it is kind of good to go, off in that. I went to India. It was good to hear all the stories behind the things.
We'll get to India. So your dad is playing AA ball and kind of getting into finishing college and starting a family, and you were 20-something years later that you were born.
1968, yeah. It's like, it was 20 years from then, yeah.
Man. And all the other siblings were pretty much out of the house at that point.
Yeah, my brother was 13, and I think my sister and brother were about to graduate, and my sister, Kathy, was in college. And so, but they all went, they're all close by at Louisiana Tech and everything. And,
right.
Yeah, my oldest sister went to college with Terry Bradshaw. So
oh, no kidding.
She was, I guess the Duck Dynasty guy too, but mainly Terry Bradshaw. And a lot of Minden kids played football for Tech, and they did pretty well. I mean,
did you play sports?
Played baseball a little bit. Played a little bit of golf.
What was your position in baseball?
Bench, outfield bench.
I used to tell people I played left out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but, I mean, I got hurt a couple of times and didn't get to play a lot, but it was fun. I enjoyed playing, and I didn't have the arm for pitching or anything. And
you had some anxiety. There was a kid you mentioned that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had pretty bad allergies as a kid too. And a lot of things just kind of, it's weird things. Kind of happen in childhood that you kind of like, that kind of, and also being in a small town kind of doesn't help your anxiety either,
Your dad had a real hustle.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from just guy from northern Louisiana to baseball player to his main sort of hustle as an adult,
yeah.
Your dad had a tremendous self-confidence, is my impression.
Yeah, he was like he was a pretty esteemed athlete. I mean, I think he had a lot, because I'd hear stories about, your dad did this, some crazy, sports story and stuff. And then he ended up being in the construction business. But he did all kinds of crazy stuff in between that. He worked at a legal casino in Bossier City, Louisiana. And then he also, he drove a bus for a little bit too, kind of just like weird jobs. But he got into the road business and stuff. And it was just really worked all the time. It was really tough for him to, but the good thing too, he could get a lot of work at the racetrack done. So he'd spend a lot of time at the racetrack and go, kind of his unofficial office for a bit also.
Horses?
Yeah, horses. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I liked the horse races too. So it was pretty fun to, I learned how to read a racing form at an early age. So I got good at handicapping horses and football teams and stuff.
Dixie Mafia was big in the horse races around Louisiana, Mississippi, and
I mean, the mafia was pretty, present in that racetrack and everything.
Your dad was in the horse racing business, did a bunch of jobs, and also got into paving eventually.
He wasn't in the horse racing business. He just was there to kind of do, construction. All the construction guys were there, so he'd go and kind of hang out and do that, and just like.
Mike, was your dad in the mafia?
He was not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I thought that a couple we had some ties, but no, he really didn't, because I would have seen,
right.
He just
somebody fed the gators or something.
He just knew a lot of people in that business. I don't think he really wanted to get involved with that. I think he had enough, violence in his life, coming before that. So
I mean, in the war.
In the war, yeah. So.
Did he have any PTSD stuff, your dad?
Oh, I know he did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he. I told this story yesterday. I was. We were going to take my mom to the hospital or something one night, and I went to wake him up, and he was having a World War II dream, and he came up swinging at me and almost punched me out. Like, he came real close to hitting me because he was freaking out, and he's like, don't wake me up like that again. So I just throw a book across the room to wake him up from then on. That was kind of fun. So it's like, hey, wake up.
Like a hardback book?
Paper, whatever's around, paperback usually. I try to get something not too bad, but enough to enough to jar him. But
yeah.
But yeah, that scared the shit out of me, though, and it scared him too. But,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I know he had some things. I think towards the end of his life, he kind of tried to reconcile some of it with my mom, and my mom wouldn't tell me the whole thing about it, but he had some bad things he saw during that time.
Yeah, I don't ever want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to ever island hop in the South Pacific.
Yeah,
trying to kill people. That sounds like the worst possible existence.
Yeah, I don't see how it's really. I mean, I think that was that Tom Hanks thing. What was it called? A miniseries when they had the guys kind of after the war. They were just them kind of like just being almost kind of like vegetables. It looked like they're kind of just basically just up in their heads trying to reconcile everything that happened.
I don't know that movie.
Oh, is it Band of Brothers or is it?
Well, I saw Band of Brothers, but I remember that.
There's a couple of like I think it was a Tom Hanks thing or something, but
that wasn't Pacific though. That was all the trip from Normandy Beach to Berlin.
There's a Pacific one too. I think he did, but
I haven't seen it.
I'm trying to think of it, but it really, I mean, I'm sure it messed a lot of people's heads up. I mean,
man.
and I feel sorry for people from the Vietnam era because I mean, like World War II, you're a hero coming back and you won the war, decisively, and then Vietnam, you're coming back as kind of an ambiguous, not really, not really a hero.
I think you can only be a huge proponent of modern warfare from a distance. And in Vietnam, there were journalists on the ground who were able to report things back that were hard for civilian populations to accept. So when did you start playing music?
I was in the high school band a little bit, but I don't remember ever learning how to read music. I just played percussion a little bit, and
you don't have to know how to read music to play percussion. Yeah, and, you're supposed to, but I mean, high school band, it's all 8 notes anyway.
Oh yeah. I learned, I guess, a little bit of that, and then I bought a drum set when I was like 21, 22. And,
I remember that drum set.
And so I got that, and then we kind of learned how to play a little bit, and then started a band with Elroy from HSO, and then we just started booking shows, and it just we're just trying to have fun with it, and we ended up doing a lot more than we really first intended to do.
You guys had a work ethic. You had some hustle.
Well, we learned a lot from you guys too, and you guys were like the gold.
The full disclosure, we modeled our work ethic after hearing that REM had just blanketed the Southeast, playing every bar, taco stand, and converted movie theater that would have them for years. And so we played 200 shows a year for 5 or 6 years, thinking that was all we had to do. And it did get us to a certain level, but our inability to work with anyone with any authority or power over us kind of ended up hamstringing us in the long term.
I think that time also is like that big feeding frenzy where they're trying to sign every band around, and then no one knows what they're doing really. You look back at it, people like, like Matador, like those indie labels were really good, like Sub Pop and Matador and stuff.
Homestead,
actually could do some stuff.
Touch and Go. Those were all great labels.
Oh yeah. And it seems like that they had kind of a vision for bands. And I think a lot of major labels, with the exception of like Sonic Youth and Flaming Lips and stuff like that, don't really have a vision of like anything
not substantial.
Not pop star related,
Well, there was this whole attitude of like, we're going to just throw a bunch of these bands up against the wall and see what sticks. But like, what band really wants to get thrown against a wall? Does that sound in any way pleasant?
No. I mean, unless you cash out or something, like you can maybe get a way to like, get the fast money. But really, when you work that long to get signed, it's got to be heartbreaking to be just grist through the mill like that.
It was brutal. Yeah. Someday I'm going to get some members of the band Trinket to talk to me, but they're so traumatized at this point, they still don't want to talk about what happened.
Yeah, you should get
it's been 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't get those guys to sit down and talk to me about it.
And those guys got a major label thing. I remember they were playing a lot.
Mm-hmm. The RCA.
They played a lot, and they toured a lot. And I knew a lot of Athens, Ruston people knew them and stuff. And then, there's some horror stories here in town. I'm sure. Like
in Austin? Hell yeah.
But like Charlie Sexton could tell a few. And then, what's that band?
Fastball.
Well, Fastball did pretty good. They've actually made, they've had a hit,
there's an absolutely brilliant band that most people think of as, oh, they're a one-hit wonder. But I saw them a few times, and they had deep catalog, you know?
Yeah, I remember seeing Magneto USA. That was the old Fastball, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that band.
Did the, they were at some hockey, when the hockey team started out, they played at a party there. And they're a great band. You know, they're good at what they do, and they, they have two really good songwriters in the band. And But they've had kind of like a second life with that hip-hop guy sampling that song, too.
I don't know that story.
Some hip-hop guy sampled one of Miles Zuniga's songs, and it was like a big hit, and I think they got some mailbox money out of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, I mean, that other song, too, it's On the Way, it's got a great, it's a great song, great video and everything, and it'd be interesting to talk to Ben Queller also, too, because he started out early, and he went through they got put through the mill at teenage years, you know.
I mean, you could run down a list of Austin musicians who got ground up in the wheels, or just had promising careers that just they hit the thrown against a wall stage and everything, felt true believers, you know.
Oh yeah, it's what's his name?
John D. Graham.
Johnny Graham was in it, and
Alejandro Escovedo.
Alejandro's in it. Yeah, got to see Alejandro Escovedo occasionally at Waterloo Records and stuff. He just walked, he'd rent movies at the video store next door, and then he is married to a friend of mine now too. They live in Dallas, I think.
Oh, cool.
And
I heard he left Austin, Alejandro.
Yeah, I think he had a good deal. Someplace in Dallas where they're living is, a lot more cost effective than living in Austin, which becomes more expensive by the minute here. It seems like.
So you're in the band in college with Elroy, and you guys are touring around. We played a bunch of shows together, as I recall. We played Pensacola and somewhere else in Louisiana that wasn't Ruston, like Lafayette or something. Yeah,
and then we were at Charles a lot of your shows too. Maybe Jackson, we played with you in
definitely
Memphis,
played Jackson, Mississippi,
Memphis, and we just kind of we'd always like say if 5/8's play and put us on the bill kind of thing. And we got lucky a lot of times with that because it's fun. We were all fans and wanted to watch you guys play, and sometimes we'd if I had a night off and you guys were within 100 miles of us, we'd like make a detour and come see the show.
Yeah, I remember. So
it was fun. I mean, that was the great part about it, and Elroy and Tim and I just had a good time with that, and we it's amazing that all of us, you guys included, survived intact from all that, because everybody logged a lot of miles doing that.
Yeah, and not the most stable equipment.
Oh yeah,
like some of these vans we toured in. Hell, the van I'm touring in right now isn't a fucking peach.
Yeah, it's tough. We had a minivan we toured in, and that was just like a comedy sketch come to life, because the insulation from the engine was ripped out. So in the summer months it was brutal, and then you had the occasional guitar flying off the top and hitting Tim, our bass player, in the head, and it was
Jesus Christ.
Always all that fun stuff. It was. I'm glad we did what we did, though.
So, what brought you to Austin?
I had visited here a couple times, and I wanted to be somewhere that, was more, more of a city and more cultural, more could see good movies, go see good bands, and could find a career path and everything. And so that was great. I just my girlfriend and I came out here, and
Chicken Ranch was already going, right? You mentioned that it was really formed in Ruston, kind of around that party house.
I'd done a bunch of compilations of local bands, and then did HSO stuff, and then that band Bert was my first signee, and then.
What year was that? You remember?
It was 96. I moved to Austin.
Yeah, so the whole like post-hardcore thing hadn't completely petered out at that point.
Yeah, but Bert's like straight up math rock, like like Big Black or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, 93, 94, put HSO stuff out. We broke up in 95, end of 95, and then.
What was that like breaking up? Because you guys were such good friends.
Yeah, we're good. I mean, it's the same reason with you guys. I mean, it's like everybody gets kind of,
burnt,
sick of each other a little bit, and. You can't really take a break at that time either. You feel like you're, you don't really. You may take a 2-week break, and that's about it, really. And we're kind of all, trying to figure out what we're gonna do, when we grow up and everything. And Elroy had his daughter, kind of a looming thing with his daughter, where he, had to take custody of her eventually. And
He was a single dad for a while.
He was, yeah. And he was all the time of HSO. He was going through a protracted divorce and everything. And
I recall some of that.
And his wife finally granted him full custody of his daughter, and so he moved to Colorado. And it was rough for him, but he got he raised his daughter and had a good he managed to really pull together a good life out there. Yeah.
So you came here, you released the Burt record.
Yeah.
All the HSO stuff's on back catalog. And
yeah.
You didn't go on a signing spree at that point. You've been very careful about who you worked with.
Yeah, it's people I could either know or kind of about new or kind of new peripherally and stuff. I put my friend Steve's Stubblefield solo project out on cassette. We did some cassette stuff, and it's when it still hadn't completely gone into dead format or anything. And
right.
then we did some more compilations, and then kept with just something I liked, I'd put it out, and I would just kind of keep my ears open, and whenever I had the money to do something, I would do it.
You were struggling somewhat at that time, though, with some anxiety and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, always. The thing is, I was thinking about this earlier too. Is they should be teaching like mental health education in elementary and high school, everywhere. Because, did you ever get any kind of
hell no.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, thank you. That's what. Yeah, that's me too. You're like you're crazy or you're not crazy. And so when you don't know what your normal would should feel like, or you don't know what the symptoms of like having a panic attack or anxiety is, and it really I think my level of anxiety is not anywhere near like I have probably minor league anxiety, compared to I've seen people have full on
right anxiety attacks.
Yeah, anxiety attacks, but there was a degree of anxiety that kind of went through my young to adult life, and finally was able to kind of address it. And
did you ever do meds for it?
I did recently, a few years ago. I just take some Lexapro and stuff. And
what got you to that point?
Just was having I've been kind of taking been doing some counseling and stuff too. We had a lot of wife suggested I think counseling would be good for you just because you've had so many life events happen in the time that we've been together. And so it was good. It was a good time to get counseling. And so I've been doing that for a while, and then kind of realized I need to, maybe if I tried to take something for anxiety, maybe it would help out a bit. And
does it help?
It does, yeah. And ADD also too, which I'm still pretty ADD, but it helps out a little bit. And
the Lexapro, you're taking something else for that?
Lexapro, I'm taking what is it called? New Vigil, or whatever the generic name of it is.
I don't know.
It's always a space on the name of it, but yeah, it's good.
Classic ADD.
Oh yeah.
I have ADD, so I take a medicine. What's it called? I don't remember.
I know the generic term of it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I took Adderall for a bit, and that I wouldn't. It's great, but it's not great at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if that's great for everybody.
Yeah, and coming off of it's pretty not fun either. So.
What was that like for you?
Is every symptom that you see in the thing, like suicidal thoughts, depression. It was a. I tried going like cold turkey. Don't do that, but then I stair-stepped down and it helped out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just really, it's, it's a good thing to, it's a productivity medicine, but it doesn't, you can really get in a bad situation with that too.
All drugs are productivity drugs, though.
Oh, yeah,
this
exactly,
is a discussion we have often on this podcast about how almost all drugs that will enhance some level of productivity, and then they try to kill you.
Oh yeah,
like the Battle of Britain was one on crystal meth.
Yeah,
all those British pilots were, and all those German pilots too were they were on crank.
Oh yeah,
because they were flying for days at a stretch.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a brother who struggled?
With a brother. The next, an aged brother, had addiction issues a lot growing up, and he was, my big joke is he did more drugs than Earth, Wind, and Fire combined, and
that's impressive.
Yeah, he was a big pothead too, but he when he got into like the prescription stuff, kind of messed him up pretty bad. And then
like pain meds.
With that Patton Oswalt joke that they have, they give the old people like just jars and jars of Percodans and stuff.
Right.
It was like that in the 70s too. My dad would get pain meds for any heart medication and stuff, and my mom had pain meds, and they're pretty liberal about that. And then my brother had a friend whose dad owned a pharmacy, so it was pretty easy to get what you wanted, so it got him kind of sideways, and he had to do rehab and everything.
Is that still in North Louisiana?
Yeah.
Kind of hard to hide a secret like that in North Louisiana.
Oh no, I mean it's kind of common knowledge that he was struggling, but it really there's a stigma to it. It's kind of a shame when you have to go through rehab. I think still now it really is. You have to there's kind of a shame aspect of addiction and having to get treatment for it. And then I felt bad for him having to bear that kind of cross, but he got he would got better for a while, and then kind of would do his thing, and then he toward the end of his life, he was kind of like doing more, smoking weed and stuff. So
he passed on?
He had a heart attack and died. I think really.
How old was he?
52. So yeah, it was.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, it sucked. It was like. I mean, we had. It was a weird 2 years. My mom died. My aunt, my mom died the same month, and then my cousin killed himself. My brother died like the same week. It was pretty fucked up, but. And it's tough to kind of process things like that.
How did you get yourself through that?
Just my wife, who I was dating at the time, was really great about helping out, and she was really real strong and very helpful, and it was good to have someone there to help out. And then I mean, I still to this day I still I miss my mom and my brother a lot, but it's because he was kind of the one that was the music, I could talk about music with him more than anyone in the family.
Well, he's closer to your age, right?
Yeah. And I had a lot of misadventures with him and stuff too. And but just you try to focus on the good aspects of the life they lived and everything. And I learned a lot from him too. I learned really not to kind of steer away from really screwing up on drugs, and then kind of I learned a lot.
Did you ever party really hard? I don't remember you ever partying that hard.
Occasionally, but not really. Not compared. If you put me compared to like someone who really parties hard, no. I mean, but it's for me, sometimes I would throw down a little bit, but not really. Not
Of all these people sort of dealing with PTSD and addiction issues, did anybody ever get help outside of being sent to rehab?
No, really. It's my dad went to toward the end of his life. He was depressed pretty bad. When he was. I think he knew he was dying and stuff.
How old was he?
65, and so he had a couple of heart attacks, and then he was, I think he was having a kind of a rough thing reconciling everything, and he went to it's place where they have the rehab center, but it's like a kind of a psychiatric kind of catch-all place. And my cousin was a psychiatrist, which helped out a lot too, so he was real helpful with trying to get people to talk about their problems, which I never did. And I wouldn't. I never got counseling until I was in my 30s.
What drove you to counseling? Same thing that drove you to meds?
Well, it was a divorce at the time. I had a little bit of counseling after my divorce, and then when I got, and then I didn't do it for a long time, and then it was probably about 7 years ago I started talking to a counselor, and it's good. I can't recommend it highly enough, and we're lucky here that there is a SIMS here in town, which you can get low cost health education.
Yeah, SIMS contacted me as I was coming into town yesterday. I don't think they realized I was coming into town, but someone turned them on to the podcast, and I think it was the fact that I'd interviewed Thor, and they messaged me or like, hey, thanks for doing this. We're this nonprofit referral service that exists to keep as many awesome musicians on this side of the dirt as possible.
Oh, it's a great thing. I mean, Stay Straight Up saved one of our artists, lives.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to mention, but I had a artist that was having some drinking problems, and it was about to be South by time, and about a month out or so, and we were the interview with the Chronicle, and he pulled me aside and said, I can't stop drinking, and I said, well, and my friend, I had a friend named Troy Campbell that helped. We got this guy into detox for a couple of weeks, and kind of helped out a lot, and he didn't go through full treatment, but it was a good way to kind of keep him. I think he would have passed on if that just because he was going on his slippery slope really fast.
How short of full treatment was he when he AMA'd?
Let's see. Oh, I mean, we left her when the
AMA means against medical advice. It's when treatment without.
He didn't AMA. He just had it was like a 2-week treatment, like a detox thing.
Oh, okay.
It was a real. I mean, it was what Sims paid for it, and it was kind of what kind of the max thing. Short of it.
Yeah.
But it helped out a whole lot, though. I think it got him sober for several months at the time too.
Is he still staying sober, at least out of trouble?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's gotten a lot better. I think that this guy's into the doing more the weed kind of treatment thing.
Right.
Really the CBD weed and stuff, and it's been working for him pretty well. I mean, honestly, and I think that's it's interesting how that all is. Some of that helps out people, the CBD stuff and everything.
Right.
I don't know the scientific metrics or anything, but it's good, for people who can do it.
I mean, a lot of people they're just self-medicating anxiety and depression with drugs and alcohol, and if they can get a grip on it some way, more power to them.
It's heartbreaking to watch. I mean, having to deal with people who have going through grief, and then also through just issues they've had in their life. And
let's talk about going through grief for a minute.
Yeah.
So your aunt, your mom, your brother,
a cousin. I've got a couple of cousins die and stuff.
All within like a month or so.
Oh, my aunt and my mom died the same month, pretty much. And then about a couple of years later, my brother and this, I had a cousin that was my age, but he had shot himself, and I didn't. I'd lost touch with him over the years, and I asked. I was friends with his fraternity brother, and I called my friend Scott, and I said, "Hey, have you heard from Jason? How's he doing? I'd love to see him." And you're not gonna believe this. He shot himself, and that was such a shock. And then like a few days later, my brother passed away, and so it kind of just really was like, kind of too much to process at the time. And
how did you handle that?
I just was sad, and tried to be, just, I don't really know how I handled it. I mean, I handled it better than, previous, losses. I think that, you just try to, do the best you can. Yeah, do the best you can and kind of cope and then, talk about it a bit. Luckily I had some, my wife now, was there, and she was good, at talking and listening and everything.
Yeah.
It's good to have someone around for that. I mean, for my dad, I didn't, I kind of shut down into myself, and that was not healthy.
You single then? Your dad died?
Oh, my dad died. I was 18 when my dad died. Yeah. So a freshman in college. And, I didn't know how to process any grief at all. I didn't know how to, talk about it with people, really.
Did your dad have an illness, or did he just...
Had a heart attack, and just like a heart attack.
First one?
Third one. So I had one when I was 3, and then one when I was 8, and then 18.
Yeah, he was older, I guess.
Yeah, he didn't. He couldn't. He wasn't strong enough to get a heart transplant. So his heart was just basically giving out on him, though. But we had the previous ones were pretty bad too, and we came close to losing him when I was 3. I'm just happy to have the time I did with him, and because we really kind of everyone didn't talk about it, but we all kind of knew that he wasn't gonna be around forever.
How old was he when he died? Your dad?
He was 65, and I was 18.
You said that already. Yeah.
What was cool though is he was 65. I got to draw Social Security for a few months in high school, so it was pretty cool. I got a few $100 a month in Social Security from the government. So it's good drinking money at the time. So.
Well, I guess you coped with it in that.
Totally. Yeah. So that was a coping mechanism. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, it's not positive coping mechanism, but it was something. Just trying to take your mind off of it. I mean, it could be a lot healthier way to do that, but it's, I mean, and, I think I learned a lot from all that, but it's, I mean, people ask you if you do it over again, would you do it the same way? But, it's really not a good question because you can't really,
I mean, yeah. My dad likes to say if a bullfrog had wings.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm here now. So, I mean, it's, it's good to be, it's good to be alive and be around,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better, in better health so I can stick around for my kids and everything.
Right.
Because I don't want to.
How many kids?
3 kids, 21, 18, and 10.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to, I don't want to, be that dad that,
right.
was not there for his kids and stuff.
Right.
And that really, it's a big mechanism, for, curbing your, making sure that you, getting your dumb instincts and, trying to be a better person as your kids are a good, and wife are a good incentive for that,
right.
And, it's just, it's a lot of, you got to really, try to, be a better person, be a healthier person, and be,
right.
and just not do stupid things.
Be present.
Yeah, be present. Yeah,
that's the hardest thing for me as a parent sometimes is to just remember that, like, I'm doing a lot of things, playing a lot of music, doing a lot of different kinds of work, and it's important to just not zone out and stare at my phone when I finally get in front of my kid, because
I know I'm bad about that too.
She needs me.
Yeah, I'm really, I mean, it's, I think everyone's bad about their phones and their iPads and stuff. I'm especially bad about it because sometimes I'm looking at things to do research, and sometimes I'm looking at things just to kind of turn my brain off, and it's really tough to do that.
Well, that's that joke about being an entrepreneur. You can pick your own hours. You can work any 80 hours a week you want.
Oh yeah.
And
if you can't show up on Saturday, don't bother coming on Sunday. So it's kind of it's the Dell motto I've heard. But it's I mean, especially being your own boss, it's it's good and bad. And you feel like you're always at work. When you have a home office and everything. But I enjoy being my own boss, and it's great to be able to work with in music, and it's good for everything else I enjoy, like making films, making video, and everything.
Which of the Chicken Ranch releases do you feel the strongest emotional connection to?
There's a lot of them. I mean, the Flat Duo Jets thing was cool because I was such, it's the reason I play music in the first place. It's such a big, influence on starting a band, playing drums and everything. And then there's a lot of different things. I mean, sometimes I get real connected with the stuff we did, and then sometimes I'm kind of just it doesn't it's got to kind of go through phases and everything. I mean, there's a lot of really good important releases we did. I mean, that Charlie Louvin record we did was the last thing he recorded, and then that was really cool.
Charlie Louvin and the Louvin Brothers.
Yeah.
I didn't know you did a Charlie Louvin record.
This is a 7-inch. He re-recorded Back When You Were Young by Tom T. Hall, and then Alabama, which is the first thing the Louvin Brothers recorded.
Right.
And my friend Mike Manning was friends with Charlie, really close friends with him, and wanted to do kind of a Johnny Cash stripped down version of Charlie's stuff. And they went in and did this single. It's just Charlie, wanted to do it for Mike, and it came out really great. And then
who was the band on that?
It was just a lot of players, a lot of kind of hired guns for that one, and I'd have to look at the credits to see, but it was all really good players. But it was just good to be able to do that, and some of these, then like recently the Negro Terror record was a pretty important thing, and
so Negro Terror is a all black punk band from Memphis, and recently their singer passed unexpectedly. Yeah,
it was crazy. I was actually supposed to meet them the weekend before at the film festival in Dallas, and they were playing along the documentary, and Omar had gotten sick, and then they canceled their dates just to kind of get him well, and then he had that he didn't realize he had a sepsis or a staph infection, and it just It's horrible.
He had like an injury on his back. He got infected,
he thought he had a pinched nerve, and then he had a staph infection. Didn't realize it.
Yeah,
because he just didn't. Of course, did have health insurance, and then also was just. He was a very active guy for musician guy. He had that reggae band. He had the punk band. He
had a wedding band too, didn't he?
Yeah, wedding band. He did like 6 hours of church services every Sunday for his church. Just a great guy, and he just didn't. I've seen people do this before. They just have something they think is wrong with them, and it's something else that's can be deadly. And I really, it was heartbreaking to have that happen because they're really going places, and it's a shame.
You had suggested to me like a week earlier you should interview Omar from Negro Terror for your podcast, and I was like, hell yeah, and then he died.
Oh yeah, it'd be great to talk to his brother. He's a couple of brothers in his reggae band, and then Rico and Raid from the band also, because they could really, just going through that. It has to be, just a heartbreaking journey. It really. I was over visiting my daughter in Berlin when that news came around, and just for a day or two, I was like, man, why am I even doing this? Because really, I can't. In the end, I can't help anybody because I can't give anybody insurance, and I can't give them money to help themselves. It's just, I was really just kind of really depressed about that because it just really, it felt, why, am I making a difference in anybody's life doing this? And then, I talked to the band a little bit, and it was like, keep putting this record out, and I finally was like, I need to, keep doing what I'm doing also. But just for a while, it kind of gets almost to a point, I know you do it in a musician's journey too. You're kind of like, man, why, it's a lot of work. And then you feel like sometimes you just, or,
I quit for 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Stop playing music altogether.
Yeah. And it's, it feels such a part of you when you do it.
Right. I have to do it though. Like at some point I realized during those 2 years that I couldn't not play music. Yeah.
Some people could just turn it off and leave, and walk away from it. But
I know we were talking about Trinket earlier in this interview. Some of those guys don't play anymore.
It's a crying shame too. People that because there's people they have more to say, and they know they have the. I know a lot of artists that I work with. They have their best work ahead of them, and
right.
There's a couple of people I'm kind of glad like they took a step back from it. They kind of geared down a little bit just to kind of not work themselves to death or not put so much pressure on having to be on that treadmill of making it as a band and stuff.
Do you ever talk to other label heads and say, look, do you know about Sims? Do you know about Ham? Do you know about Nucci Space? Do you know about Music Cares?
I have a few people. The good thing about Austin, everybody knows about Sims.
Right.
So that's a really good thing. And then they should be a Sims in every city. There should be a Nucci Space in every city.
Yeah.
And I donated some money to Nucci Space when Bill Doss died. And and it just.
Did you know Bill?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was very fond of Bill, and I just don't talk to the guys. I saw John Fernandez. I was in Athens recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see him, and
he's doing some incredible work right now.
Yeah.
Have you seen him perform his sort of loops?
I did. I videotaped it too. It's great. Yeah, it's really fantastic. And Bill always really. Yeah, I saw him last time I saw him was in Athens. I was at the 40 Watt for a show, and we just sat and talked for about an hour. And then it was a few years later. I was going to try to maybe catch him in Barcelona when they were at the Primavera Festival, and I was going to try to hang out with him and Amy. And I didn't get to. And then a few months later, he died. It was and I wasn't super close to him, but also very friendly. All those guys. It's kind of you.
You guys all kind of went to college together.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and then Will Westbrook was another guy that passed away. Well, he's in the Gerbils, and I love that guy. He was an awesome person. And when
it's got to be the weird Faustian sort of deal where you want to put these records out knowing that as an independent label you're never going to be able to give any health insurance to these people, but if you don't put the records out, who will?
Exactly. Yeah, and you never know. There's always that chance that something will, could hit NPR, or it could, you could get a sync that does
Something
does help out, and like the 5/8 records, for example, too. It's something that I want to see out there. Selfishly, I want to vinyl copy a Weirdo, and the good thing about 5/8 is that you guys have kind of you understand kind of the expectations of everything, and like if it does go away, if things really sail on, then you guys can do that. But also if it's if it's just if it does well, that's great. If it doesn't, it's not,
One of the things that I sort of think of as a guiding principle in my life is I knew someone who was a mentor to my wife, who was a theater professional, and you'd think it's unrelated to playing music, that running a theater or running a theater
Not at
group.
all, no.
But one of the things I learned from watching this guy, his name was Ron Anderson, was that having a solid set of principles that you really stick to is more valuable than having a crystal ball, because you'll know when situations arise how to handle them. And not having a set of principles, like, say, if you were president and you didn't have any guiding principles at all, you're just constantly swinging back and forth from whatever feels like it's going to benefit you the most in the short term, which is no way to run anything.
Yeah, it's a good point. That guiding principles is really good. I think
So
I've got
what are your sort of guiding principles for Chicken Ranch?
I just want to put something out, things that I like and things that I think I can help out with. And also, I don't want to be a detriment to the artist. And I don't want to be in someone's way if they're, on their way up, or, and I don't want to be, so that's not beneficial to both of us. And, and I want to make, I want to like it. I want to make sure it's, I, prefer it's something, like that. An artist that can back it up with a really, really, really great show also too, and then be entertaining for the in the live setting. It's really good, and I really I just enjoy doing that. I enjoy putting things out and creating and helping sometimes shape the videos and kind of tell the story a little bit.
Do you sometimes find that an artist is interested in being on Chicken Ranch, you think this just isn't going to be a good fit?
Yeah, a lot of times. So yeah, it's a lot of, and it's one thing or another, but that's either they're not going to sell 5 records, and sometimes I'll still put it out because if I like it, I'll give a shit if it sells, 1 record or 100,000. I prefer to sell 100,000, but I'm not really, beholden to like the success of something. But I think, but there's some obvious things like it's just not going to work, and it's not, I'm not a good fit for this artist. And it's tough to tell people that, and I've had to turn away a few things. And then some things just the expectations are too much. And I turned down a Jerry Lee Lewis record one time too.
Holy shit.
Because it was too, I was like, that sounds awesome, but the production costs were just too much for me. It was I think the pre-recording costs were more than 5 records I'd done, recently, and there was a lot of money. I've been like, but it was, it was a pretty big project. I really, I was very flattered just to even get be in the talk in the tape and have a seat at the table for that too. It was really nice to be considered.
Who did they eventually go with? Do you remember?
I don't know if it ever got made or not.
Oh wow.
There's a couple of things that you turn down. You're like, I should have done that, but it just sometimes it doesn't work out where you can do it at the time. It's a shame, and it's a shame that I couldn't have been around in 1995 or 96 and seen some of these bands do their thing. And it just
what regrets do you have?
Just you always feel like you do a better job on certain things, and then I wish I'd gotten a real full-on publicist a lot earlier in the life of Chicken Ranch, even though it's more expensive. But I could have done better, with a publicist, and maybe you always Monday morning quarterback things, but it's there's some projects I wish I'd done, a more thorough job on, and then there's some I wish the timing had been better and everything.
Yeah,
because you really just sometimes you have a band that just breaks up right after the record comes out, or or they just flip out, and you're like, okay, well, you're not going to tour on this record, I guess. And
right, touring is a big part of getting the word out there.
And that's a lot of problems. A lot of bands don't. I had a couple of bands that just didn't tour very much because they had different things going on.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's which gives me kind of a challenge of marketing it, which is I like the challenge of it. But,
do you have a full-time publicist now?
I don't. I've used my friend Josh Bloom for a while with Fanatic. He's a great publicist, and I use him from time to time. And then with our our last record, I realized that a lot of stuff we had done we could have done ourselves.
Right.
And looking at a publicist for an upcoming record, and just trying to make sure that kind of saying, okay, what can you do with this, and then what do we get for our money and everything.
Yeah.
Because it can be a little bit of money, especially it's if the belts get tighter and everything. It's tough to justify a lot of money, and you're not so it's a gamble. But some of the things we've done and the publicity, it's done really well and helped out a lot.
You think you're going to do this forever?
We'll do it for a while. I mean, some shape or form, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I could. And it's not. There's no like thing saying I can't. Put things out or keep the catalog going.
Sure.
I mean, maybe there's one day where I decide, okay, I'm either gonna, pass the reins along to someone, or I'll just, kind of make it it'll be kind of an archival project, basically saying here's the body of work that we did, but I don't really see, and it'll be interesting to see the next 5-10 years how the label exists and within the ecosystem of an artist, because I was thinking about this earlier today too, is that there's always going to be a need for a label type person in an organization or a management type person, because some people can do everything but some people can't,
Right.
And a lot of bands just don't want to do it. And
sure.
Just having people out there to be label services or marketing services, or and you've got to have people outside the band most of the time, unless you're
Well, and it helps to have someone who's got some connections, right? Like
I've
been in this industry 30 years, but I couldn't get a gig in Dallas until you made that phone call for Pickadilly Poodle.
Scott's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's I think my connections are localized in a lot of ways, but I do know people,
I mean, Texas isn't small though.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't sell yourself short
Oh,
there.
yeah. And weird enough, we've got an India connection. That was like, it's because of you guys. We had,
and that India show was great.
Oh man, that was fun. That was the most fun musical experiences I've ever had.
Right. So Chicken Ranch Records and 5/8 went to India to do a show. If you don't know the history here, we got invited to do a festival in the far northeastern corner of the of India, on the other side of what's called the Chicken Neck, which is a tiny passage through the Himalayas. And it was magical. And we did this, and you've had another act go to another festival there.
Oh, yeah. Johnny 8-Track did Zero Festival over there a couple of years ago. I went last year, and it was
outstanding
fun.
Experience, man. That was really great.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out the way it did. I didn't know what to expect, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, I was like, look in the moment you're like kind of nervous and kind of like, okay, what's going to happen next? And then when you look back at it, it was a lot of fun. And
there were some moments like when the truck carrying all our equipment fell in the river. But
yeah, it was. I was like, I was watching Mantione because I wasn't sure if he was going to.
That's Mike Mantione, the lead singer of 5/8.
It was like the Cameron Fry moment. Like, here's when Cameron freaks out. Right. And I was watching. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be bad. But they like those guys, they just picked the thing back up, literally picked the van back up out of the water onto the boat.
It was like insane.
I was calling it that was like National Lampoon's Apocalypse Now, that trip down the river. So that was a lot of fun. But the way back, the very last when they put all the 6 cars and the 6 motorcycles and 50 people on that one.
Right.
I climbed to the top of the thing.
What Mike's talking about is we crossed the Brahmaputra River on a barge that looked like it was a flat piece of wood with a motor strapped to it.
A houseboat with a Evinrude on the back of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how we crossed a mile wide river with 6 motorcycles, 50 people.
it was awesome, but still at the time, you're. So I mean, I'm not a big climber, but I climbed to the top of that boat. I stood in the exact middle of it in case it flipped over. I could like try to jump out far enough, and
I didn't know you did that.
Just catch hepatitis in the river instead of like.
That's crazy.
That was a crazy river too. I mean, it and India is an awesome country. That was fantastic.
Oh man, I'm ready to go back into town.
But yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was even. The trip to Zero is great too because you take a flight and you have an overnight train, which is an interesting experience in itself. And then
I've never been on a train in India.
Oh man, it's interesting.
I'm down. Let's do it.
I could smell the bathroom in my bunk, and it's not fun. But a bunch of like famous, like this one girl who's a British musician was on the trip with us, and she's since blown up. And I saw her picture in Mojo recently.
What's her name?
Oh, I forget her name. I'll have to look it up for you. But yeah,
we'll put it in the show notes.
Good jazz, jazz artist, and
those two festivals are incredibly well run and well attended and well planned and a lot of great. I mean, we played with Tangerine Dream and we played there. I mean, that was crazy.
We got very tired.
Yeah, they were very tired.
Yeah, they traveled 50 hours or something in a van.
Yeah,
I mean,
and no one had a corkscrew for the vine. It was hilarious.
Man, Noob Cuddy did a great job with those festivals, and those guys. I mean, they're just the best. The best people in the world there. So it was awesome. I haven't laughed. I laughed harder that one week we were there than I had a long time. It was
a brilliant trip.
It was fun. Just going anywhere with Dan Horowitz is pretty awesome too.
Dan Horowitz, bass player from 5'8", is one of the funniest men alive.
Oh man, I've found some sea shanties he'd sang. That's him to Mark.
The impromptu sea shanties crossing the Brahmaputra made that river crossing a lot less stressful.
Yes, we were in the dark when we got there, weren't we?
The sun went down while we were crossing that river. It's a mile-wide river, and it takes about an hour to cross. And when the sun went down, it got wild.
It did. It did. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I
think that like a lot of the guys who drive those boats, they live there by the river, and as the day winds down, they start drinking. And that's when the van with the equipment fell off the barge into 18 inches of water and looked like it might get deeper a lot faster. No one was sober enough to deal with that.
Oh yeah, it was. It got stuck like a motherfucker too. That was just a lot of fun, and I never had really. It was an adventure. It was such a good. And the good thing, everyone was. The Zero people had people to take care of us on both trips.
Yeah, I'd do it again, man.
Oh yeah, you should. I mean, I think that will be in the cards.
I hope so.
Oh yeah. I can when you go to Zero, I'll have to like give you the whole here's what to expect thing. Right. We rode with the band Mono was in the van with us.
Japanese rock band Mono.
Yeah, Japanese rock band, and Dom is the American drummer, and so it was him. And one
Japanese rock band with an American drummer.
Yeah, the new
That's
drummer.
really weird.
They're new drummer. Yeah, so there you go.
Just joking. Yeah. That's my job right now.
Sounds like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, they. But yeah, it was, the drummer's in the very back. I'm going, hear him going, oh shit. I'm like, dude, we'll probably live. It's gonna be fine.
And if you don't, what a fucking story.
Oh yeah, but it was all foggy when we were going up, and I realized we were like right on this these cliff roads, and coming down was beautiful. But I was like, wow, if I'd read, I probably would have said, oh shit, a whole lot more if I could see through the fog. But we stopped and bought a sword on the way down, so it was kind of cool.
India. Well, man, I usually wind these up with a series of 8 quick questions.
Okay.
And you've heard the podcast, so you know roughly what they are.
I think so,
So first question, what's the fondest memory of a meal that you've ever had?
Oh, man, probably as a kid, going to, have some food with my parents, and getting to, just how, good Southern cooking is sometimes,
Yeah.
And
would you say that Northern Louisiana falls squarely on the is that more Cajun food or soul food or?
It's a lot of soul food. Remember, like Sarah's Kitchen in Ruston and everything.
Oh, I loved Sarah's Kitchen.
That's so badass.
The place was incredible.
Yeah, my niece's husband did the Sarah's art book. She was also a primitive artist. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Sarah Albritton was her name, and but they, I mean, it's a combination of Cajun, a little more Cajun than it used to be, and then, soul food, got fish, fried fish, and steaks and stuff.
Is there a particular one that sticks out in your mind?
Talk about soul food or
just the meals with your parents.
Just probably something at home, getting to hang out
Right.
and have a meal with the family and everything, and it was always, just kind of a fond memory of everybody being,
Being around the
being
table.
around, the table
Yeah.
and stuff, yeah. So it's kind of a good,
All those
thing.
folks are gone now, huh?
Yeah, quite a few. I still have brother and two sisters still
Right.
living. Mom and dad are both gone, and then but it's always fond memories though, and
Yeah.
you can't, I've learned kind of a lot not to look back and be sad about stuff like that,
Right.
So it's good, it's good to be here, kind of thing. So
Yeah. So this question has changed over the course of the podcast. It used to be, what's the most frightened you've ever been, but also, if that's too difficult to talk about, what's the time you were braver than you ever thought you could be?
Most frightened I've ever been was I got thrown over a ride one time when I was like maybe a five or six, maybe 4 or 5. So it's like monster ride things that kind of.
You got thrown out of one of those?
I got thrown
like
over.
a carnival
I
ride?
got thrown over by my sister. Grabbed me and pulled me back in. I went over the. I went I was almost like off. Falling off the thing. I'd have been fucking dead. But
So this was a carnival ride
in Louisiana, Shreveport. Yeah, and
yeah, like a state fair thing. Or?
Yeah, I was like fearless. I was like, I remember being just like just I think I was the start of some anxiety with heights and stuff for a long time because I remember that and she grabbed my pants and just pulled me back in, and she probably shouldn't have gone on the ride with me, or gone on the ride anyway, but it's one of those carnival things, and
Right.
I remember that, just sheer terror of that.
Did your parents see that happen?
No. They were I spent a lot of time with my brothers and sisters and stuff. A lot of time.
They
too.
were older. Yeah.
Yeah, older. Yeah, my mom and dad would go do things, and
Right.
they would, just I was spent a lot of time, kind of left my own devices and everything too, and kind of things like that. So it's good, comic books,
Right.
kind of thing, and I didn't really mind it, but it was just I did spend a lot of time, kind of being the only child, for the
So
most
you guys
part.
went to this like county state fair or whatever, and
Yeah, I think it was the state fair.
do you remember the name of the ride? Was it like a cyclone?
It was like
or?
the monster or something, or the it's like a kind of a tentacled ride thing, and it
Uh-huh.
did kind of shake you a little bit, and then I went, I wasn't, that's too small to be strapped in correctly,
Right.
and I flew kind of over the little rod thing, and luckily.
But you were old enough to realize you were in trouble.
Oh yeah, when you're about to fly off this thing, I could see the ground, and I wasn't, it'd been a 30 or 40 foot drop or something. It had been not good for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and I kind of got over that. It took a long time to get over that kind of fear of heights
Fear of
and
heights.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's not really a fear of standing on a balcony and looking over, but like fear of not having a balcony, kind of that
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
That's kind of a very.
I mean, there's plenty of that in India.
Oh
over
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Doesn't seem to be an OSHA there.
Oh yeah. I just never really got scared in India a whole lot. I was more scared of tripping on a rock by that stage and falling over and hitting another rock.
That happened to me while we were walking
you
through
did
the
do
dark.
that. That's right. You fell down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
had already played though, so
I tripped and I grabbed one of those orange branches and it impaled my. My hand was bleeding for a while. But
yeah, the ground. So this Orange Festival that 5/8 played in India was in the mountains in this very rocky, like it's what geologists call kettle moraine. I don't know why I know that, but that's like stones the size of a shoebox everywhere. Oh
yeah, just poking about the ground,
and it's dark.
Yeah, and that's where the quote unquote pit would be in a show like that. That was kind of awesome and dangerous. It's like basically.
It's a festival on the side of a mountain, basically.
Yeah, the Louisiana Festival had been back in the 70s, probably.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful place, but pretty lawless.
Oh yeah, everybody got drunk too, man.
And hammered. Yeah, I wasn't because I don't drink anymore, but yeah, there was plenty of that too. So what is the thing in your life that you've lost that you regret losing the most?
Wow, that's a heavy question. I don't know, really. Maybe some of the wonder, the kid, kind of the wonder that you have, as a kid and everything.
What would you say the peak of that was for you?
as a kid,
Was there like 10 years old?
Probably 7 or 8, maybe,
Yeah.
before my grandfather died and stuff. So, he was a real, he was a character also too. Not really kind of a character, but he was World War I veteran. Yeah. He was in the Mexican border guarding because the thing was that the Germans had sent a telegram to Mexico.
Zimmerman telegram.
Yeah. And so he was down there for that in Texas. And,
right.
But he had he met Mark Twain, I had a crazy, saw Jim Thorpe play and athletic thing. And we talk about that a lot too. I was a pretty, boisterous kid. So I talked to him about stuff,
right.
And, he died when I was like 10, but, it was really, I really enjoyed hearing his tale and talk. And then kind of, you really, I kind of wonder, is that young kid like that, and
right.
I want to try to keep, my son in that kind of mode for as long as you can, It's fun, and one thing I really wanted to instill in my children too is that you can do anything. I mean, they're literally, if
right.
you can do, you can, whatever your venture is in life, whatever you want to do, you can do it, and that's why I want to make sure they can, I'm not trying to like be some kind of like, you can do anything kind of, you get a ribbon for everything kind of kid, but it's a, but you can make your own path in life.
Right.
That's kind of what I'll instill in them. I hope I've done a good job at that.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, it's that wonder is, I mean, remember that, kind of just that whole, reading comic books, watching, crazy, Star Wars and crazy TV
right.
and stuff, it's a pretty awesome time to be around.
Yeah. Tell me about a time you received an act of kindness from a stranger.
Oh man, I've got a really dumb, funny one. This is totally gross also too, but, I was, a little hungover after a Christmas party. I went to my son to swim lessons and, you can see where this is going already. And he was like 2 years old. He's still in diapers. And, I'd forgotten to grab,
swim diaper?
I had a swim diaper, and he had a little accident in the pool, which a lot of kids are doing there. And when you do that, your lesson's over. You're kicked out of the lesson for the rest of the day. So I went and had to change his diaper, and it was just a disgusting mess. And realized I'd forgotten all my like diaper wipes and stuff and everything. Right. And these group of dads who were there, like, oh, we've been there, so you're a little bit, I was a little bit slow that morning, trying, and kind of scrambled to get everything ready. And then, these, like out of nowhere, like the cavalry, like, yeah, take this, and
right.
just super nice, I know that's a real kind of lightweight answer, but yeah, I mean, it's that kind of,
but there's something there though, like parenting, Gen X dads have, taken a bunch of duties that we weren't really expected to, or that our fathers weren't expected to.
Oh yeah.
And to have a bunch of other dads pitch in when you're changing a diaper when you're not feeling great that's not insignificant.
Oh yeah. Dad Mafia was pretty strong that day, so it's cool.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I mean, those kind of moments are pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because, it really gives you, and it didn't really matter what, side of politically we're on or any kind of like,
well, that's important, right?
And all ages, it's all
age
income groups and stuff at this thing.
Because we're both older dads, but I mean, I feel a pretty strong bond with other dads when I see them out in the world, Yeah,
and there's a couple of people that, I don't align exactly politically with, or, we're different, really different lives sometimes, but, I mean, there's, you really forge a good friendship, with your kids and stuff,
It's important.
It really helps you grow as a person too, and your children too. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, you're not playing that much anymore, but the next question is usually what's your favorite place to gig? But what's your favorite place to see? Big part of your job is seeing bands.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place to see bands?
I used to go to Beerland. It's closed now, but that was a good place. The old Emos was really awesome.
Oh, God, I loved playing there.
That place was great. I played there a couple times. And then Mohawk was pretty cool, and it's still a pretty cool place. And I love seeing music in Nashville, like at the Basement East, or different places. Somebody got some good venues there.
Yeah.
And, there's some shitty venues, but they got good places too.
You scouted an act at the Zero Festival too.
Yeah, Komoribi. I just, I was going to go to grab a nap before the last night of like people hanging out. And I heard them playing across the field, and I'm like, oh, who is this? I'll stick around with the song, and then kept getting closer and closer. And by the end of her set, I was like right up front,
chin on the stage.
Yeah, I was like pretty much on the stage.
She's magical. Yeah. Komoribi is really great.
Man, she's great. Yeah, I didn't expect, because I was in a panel saying, what do you when's going to be the next big Indian artist, or is it going to be one worldwide? And I said, well, someone will pop up and will be a sensation or something, and I think that she kind of goes beyond that. I think she's more of a like somebody like a Portishead or Kate Bush thing. That'll be someone. Yeah,
if you should go check. I'll put her on the next. I'll put her on the playlist for this show, Spotify playlist. She's a trip hop artist from New Delhi who's just outstanding.
Yeah,
I got to play with her at South by Southwest, and it was one of the best things that's happened to me in years.
Thank you for doing that too. You saved our collective asses several times.
I mean, somebody asked me to do them a favor and play drums. I'm like, who's getting the favor here? Because I love playing drums.
Man, you did great. That kit you had for the showcase too is like just John Bonham-esque too.
That's a great set of drums.
That really worked a lot for her too. I mean, her drummer she has in India is amazingly good too.
Yeah,
but
I watched some of his videos to see what he was doing. He's outstanding. So.
Yeah, he lost. Then he couldn't get a visa.
Trump State Department.
Yeah, dude, it's been difficult. Serving Peel Under Purple had some visa difficulties at first, and then it's been a the visa thing is a pain in the butt.
It really is.
Just to be I've
got some friends who are in bands in England, and they used to be able to come to the States, and now it's just so difficult and so expensive that they don't even bother anymore. We're missing so much good music because the State Department's getting in the way. It's kind of unfortunate.
Well, hopefully I'll swing back the other way soon. I mean,
you know me, man. It's a big open borders guy. People are like, Democrats don't want open borders, and I'm like, well, this one does.
You should have smart borders. I mean, it really is. I mean, let people in, tax them. Fuck.
I believe in collective bargaining of the working class. If we can cross borders to get better work, then it's going to force people in whatever country A to pay better wages, and I'm all for that. So
and you get smart people and people who want to work. It's great. You know, and the food gets better.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So I mean, man. I don't see a problem with it, and I know that we have a lot of we're crowded here, but. We've got.
I think that's an illusion.
But but we've got to.
We're not that crowded, man.
Yeah, true. Well, we got to get. We got to help people. We got to make sure. That's what our country is. I mean, to me, what the country stands for is bringing people in who maybe a misfit somewhere else around the world, and we're able to help them out. And we're
I mean, I'm in the best rock band I played in. Other than 5'8" my whole life, and they're two people from Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
So and we're struggling to get their visa renewed. So yeah, if visa and income considerations aside, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
For now, I'd live here. Until if I were, maybe, another alternate reality, I'd live in London, maybe, or maybe London or.
London is a great city.
Yeah,
you're not the first person to say in this. I would like to live in London in this interview or on this program.
I like London, Barcelona. I like Barcelona. I like Berlin a whole lot. I was really impressed with that.
I need to go to Berlin,
dude. Yeah, you'd love it there. It's I know a lot of good places to eat there. It's
well, Pinky Doodle Poodle may have a European tour coming up. You heard it here first, folks. And Berlin is on that itinerary.
Man, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I thought about when toying with the idea of doing a Chicken Ranch podcast. I've got a couple and with your questions, I have some really inane questions I'm going to ask people on this thing if I ever get it off the ground. I'll ask you the questions to see how they play. Okay. Number one question: what's the worst song you get a lap dance to? The worst song in the world, as far as
who does that song? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's an old song,
So sorry. Is that Peggy Lee?
Oh, Peggy Lee. Yeah, probably Peggy Lee.
So either that or Is That All There Is by Peggy Lee be the worst lap dance song of all time?
It's pretty good. Mine was Swing Low, Sweet Chariot.
Also pretty bad.
Yeah. And then this is another morbid question, too, is if you had to have a song playing while you're on life support and like the last song that you'd hear before they pull the plug, what would it be?
Probably Freebird, because it's the longest song I can think of off the top of my head.
Oh yeah, that'd be an agonizing song for me. It's such a live version. It never ends.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because it goes on and on and on and on and on.
Mine would be Hawaii 5-0 theme.
A 5/8 song. By the way, that's in 5/8.
Oh, yes, the Hawaii 5-0 theme.
Yep.
It'd be that.
Wait, maybe that might be Mission Impossible theme that's in 5/8. One of those is in 5/8.
Yeah, the one was dun 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 doo doo doo, and he pull the play. I had to do the right version of the song too. I'd be really pissed off because there's so many versions of the song.
Right.
And it would just make me angry in my head if I heard like the shitty version of that song.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's a morbid question, but it's kind of like so
Right.
Yeah, it'd be a great song to have as a second line or something in your funeral. But yeah, I'd rather have a jazz funeral also too.
Right.
It'd be fun, just because why not? It'd be cool.
Are there more Chicken Ranch podcast questions?
Oh, that's it. Really,
Okay.
that's the only two I've got right now.
Those are pretty great.
Yeah.
So do you still play drums? Do you have a perfect musical instrument? And if so, what is it?
I don't personally have a perfect instrument. I have like one drum. I have one kit right now. My son, my old kit. I would like to have an old Gretsch kit. I mean, those sound so good. And although I like your John Bonham kit, it sounds pretty awesome. That's one of the best sounding kits I've heard in a long time.
I have a Gretsch kit that's very close to that kit.
Yeah.
It might be up for sale soon. We should talk.
Let me know. Yeah, KUT has a beautiful Gretsch kit. They were used for the shows and stuff. It's a baby blue Gretsch kit's so nice.
Gretsch drums are special.
Yeah,
I love the ones I've played. I'm more of a Ludwig guy these days, but there was definitely a time where I wanted to play nothing but Gretches.
The Ludwigs are good though. I like those. I never I knew that was always the the bottom thing, but it's a good sounding kit.
So I want you to imagine a taxi that's not constrained by time and space as we know it, and you get into this taxi. It can go anywhere, right? You get in the taxi and you say to the driver, "Hey man, take me home." Where is that taxi going to take you?
It depends on what age I am. I mean, if I'm younger, it'd be home and to my family. But if it were now, it'd be home to my family. It'd be down the street. I mean, it's really where your loved ones are. I think it's kind of like right now it's my family. And I'm lucky right now because most of my kids are in town right now.
That's exactly my answer.
Yeah, so I mean,
somebody asked me that question. I probably couldn't have phrased it any better than that.
Have you seen this movie called Afterlife? It's
I have not.
I'll loan you the DVD and just mail it back to me because it's this Japanese movie, and it's people who newly died and they can bring one memory with them to the next life, and they have to reenact that memory on a video, like make a videotape of it, and then they can take that video with them as their one memory of the past life. And I'd always think, what would be my memory I'd take with me? It would be me with my family for just a subsection of time, sometime back in the, when the whole family was around, maybe a holiday or just a, pleasant vacation or something, And it's a pretty heavy movie, but it's you would really enjoy it though.
I mean, it's been great. I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, I really appreciate this, and this is a great podcast. I mean, it's been cool seeing this evolve over the short time it's been around, and then getting the grant thing is really awesome. And
it's been great.
Yeah, man. It's I think it's necessary too, because it really I think you keep it free form enough too, where people can talk about either a problem they've had, or they can just kind of do like us and just kind of free associate a little bit.
It's wild to me how frequently I just end up nerding out about gear with somebody too.
Oh yeah, that's great.
That's not the end of the world.
No, it's awesome.
That's what musicians talk about, man.
Oh, exactly. And it's fun. And you're you have a good knowledge of things, and it's kind of fun to hang out and just nerd out about that too. Yeah, it's pretty fun. But thank you for having me here. It's been great.
Thanks for doing it, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that's our interview with Mike Dickinson from Chicken Ranch Records. Make sure you check out Chicken Ranch Records online. That's at chickenranchrecords.com. Nothing fancy or weird there. I hope I remember to put everything in the show notes that I said I was going to put in the show notes in that episode. But make sure you check out Koma Rebbe. Koma Rebbe is on Spotify. She's the trip-hop artist from New Delhi that I got to play with at South by Southwest last year. Her drummer had visa problems, and I had to fill in. We played a big party that Chicken Ranch Records sponsors right in the middle of South by Southwest, and had a great time. The sound man at that gig was really rude to her. I mean, it's the only sort of brown female on that bill as a solo. Well, she wasn't a solo artist because she had me as a drummer, but man, that guy showed his ass in the worst way. I'm proud to say that a couple of hours later when 5/8 played, we really punished that guy to the point that the show got shut down, and we were not upset about it at all. If you work for a club and you're meeting artists, especially international artists, don't be a dick. I mean, come on. Like, it was totally unnecessary. Some of those people travel thousands of miles to be here, and maybe they have one show at a showcase, and if you're the one who's like responsible for kind of midwifing their sound into the world, man, step up. Don't be a jerk. So unnecessary. If you're struggling with thoughts of self-harm, if you're having dark days, if you're depressed, anxious, and thinking about doing the unthinkable, make sure you call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline before you do anything else. 1-800-273-8255. It's 24/7. It's free. It's confidential. It's staffed by volunteers that have been trained to help you through your crisis. 1-800-273-8255. If you're a trans person experiencing anxiety, depression, dysphoria, if you're feeling isolated and alone, there's a peer waiting on the other end of the Trans Lifeline's peer support line. 1-877-565-8860. That's 1-877-565-8860. So, in the meantime, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, ask for help if you need it, support live music, go see your favorite band, and remember that loud guitars save lives.